Hi, I'm Phil. I'm here to tell you what it's like living with end-stage renal failure. Uh, Obviously, part of renal failure is dialysis, which is, in my case, allowing a machine to do the job that my kidneys can't. Now, I'm very fortunate that I'm able to do dialysis at home. The machine, all the supplies are provided by the New Zealand Health Department, which I'm really grateful for. However, one of the responsibilities for me, having this machine at home is to make sure that the filters get changed on schedule. So there's 3 filters in the machine that I change. The first is the particle filter, and we change that every month. The second is the carbon filter, and we change that every 3 months. And these two I change just based on the calendar month. This at the end of every month, this at the end of every 3 months. But there's also a U9000, which is this filter, and that gets done every 90 days, which is, similar to the 3-month carbon filter. But this one, we get a notification on the machine that says this filter needs to be changed within the next 5-6 days or the machine will stop working. So this one I do whenever the machine tells me it needs doing, so it's hopefully usually at the weekend, but sometimes it'll be the middle of the week. Anyway, this video I want to share with you what I do to change these filters. There's kind of 2 parts. The first being the carbon and the particle filter, which happened to be due both during the day I was filming, but also the U9000, which is due when it's due. So, alright, without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, today we're starting off with the carbon filter, which needs replacing every 3 months. The first thing I need to do is turn off the water supply to the machine so that we don't just have it spraying everywhere. Just a moment. Okay, so you can probably see I've got a bucket and a towel below me here. I can't stop the water spraying everywhere because it just does. The water comes in the hose here. There's a hose across the middle that goes into the next filter over here, which is our particle filter. So now we've got the water turned off, we're going to release the pressure from the water that's already in the system. And I'm not sure if you can see the red button on top, but we're going to press that down to release some of the pressure. I actually got some of that in the bucket, which is pretty unusual. So I just want to soak up, sorry, not a shot at the moment, but I just want to soak up the water that's been spilled, because there's electrics and all sorts of stuff in this machine that I don't really want the water to get into. I found that a paper towel soaks it up better than anything else. Right, that's great. Okay, so that'll release the pressure in here too, but we're not worried about that right now. Next thing we've got to do is take this filter off. We have a special wrench that's made especially for this job. I always forget which way I'm turning. There we go. You have to turn it a couple of turns with the wrench to get it loose enough to do it with your hand. Now, the catch with this is it's full of water. Now, you can hear me grunting and groaning quite a bit. As you can see, it's a bit awkward to get in here behind the machine. I could wheel the machine right out, but what you can't see is it's sitting on a rubber mat, and that rubber mat actually protects the floor from spillages and that sort of thing. So rolling it right out where it's easy to just sit behind it and get it is not probably the best idea in terms of looking after our room, our property. But what happens is when I'm twisting around to get the filter like I just was, I will have rubbing in my back from the cysts and kidneys and so on. Often on under my spine, sometimes a bit lower down. And as I'm moving around doing the filter, it's quite painful. I'm just leaning like this so I can give my back a bit of a rest. Be back into it in a minute. But the other thing I need to be careful of is if I exert my arm too much, I'm having a bit of trouble with pulling the muscle in my arm very easily. And so that makes changing these filters a bit more complicated. That being said, I have no problem with being responsible for changing the filters. It's just a little awkward sometimes. Right, let's get on with it. So next thing we do is take out the old filter and empty the water out of the container. This bucket's really a rubbish bin. Just tip this water out. Okay, so the next thing is to get the new filter ready. I've got the filter down here. It's wrapped in plastic, so a bit of effort to get it open. In the container. Get the container. Now if you don't get this done up properly, you end up with water spraying everywhere. If you use the wrench to tighten it up, it becomes so tight that with the additional water pressure, you can't take it off in another 3 months. So it's kind of a tricky balance, and I won't know if I've got this right until I've replaced the particle filter as well, because then I'll turn the water on and see how the pressure goes. But that looks about the same as this one, and it's feeling pretty tight, so we're going to go with that for this one. So the next job is particle filter. Okay, we've got a different and hopefully better angle for the particle filter. I probably really shouldn't have to release the pressure on this one because the one on the far side has already been done, but I'm a bit cautious. I'm not a mechanical person. I think I understand enough to know the pressure won't be there, but I'd rather be careful, so I'll just do that. And no pressure to release, so I didn't need to do it. Next thing I have to do, of course, is take this filter off. Here comes the spanner again. That's a lot of water in there. So let's get this out of here. This angle is a bit more difficult to get to. Down the bucket. Now, I did notice while I was doing that there actually was a bit of water released when I released the pressure, so we'll just clean that up while we're here before I forget. Yep, burn dry. Okay, that's good now. Same as before. Take the old filter out, empty out the container. Very good. New filter. Okay, filter goes in, and then we screw it back on. It's actually quite a simple job when you look at it like that. For me, to remember which way to screw it, but also for me, it's the angle of having to get in and get the pressure on these things to screw them tight enough that I don't get a leak, and that sort of thing. That is a challenge, but I only have to do it once a month, so it's not, you know, it's not the end of the world. I will just dry this up a bit so we can see if there is a leak. It's not perfectly dry, but it's pretty close. Right, I'm going to go turn the water on, and you're not going to be able to see me do that, but I promise if I haven't got these tight enough, you're going to see what happens. Okay, looks like the first one's tight. Second one, the particle filter here, obviously didn't tighten up enough, so let's just try and get it a bit tighter than we had. Okay, again I'll just dry that off. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it any tighter, so we'll give it another test. There's already water pressure built up to sort of up to the pipe here, so it won't take long before it tells us if I haven't got it tight enough. Back in a more. Okay, we're done with that bit. The last thing to do is put the machine into disinfection and get rid of this rubbish, so you don't really need to watch me doing that sort of stuff. So that's it for these two filters. Okay, so today we're going to replace the U9000 filter, which gets done every 90 days. I had a warning come up on the machine a couple of days ago saying this will need doing in the next few days, so we're doing the job. The U9000 filter looks like this. So what I'm going to do is prepare the new one first. It doesn't take a lot of preparation, but you do need to write the date on it. So the idea being that if I write the date on the label, and anyone needs to check what's happening with the machine, they can see when this was last changed. The thing, of course, is that if I don't change this, the machine will not work for dialysis. So, so it needs to be done. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do after getting everything ready, now we're ready to do the actual change, is get rid of the old filter. And hopefully the camera I've put in the back is going to capture this. The old filter is sitting on top of a water tray, which will catch any leakage, and actually part of this process when we run the machine to do disinfection is to check there's no water in the water tray. So just have a feel around. It's bone dry at the moment, so all I've got to do is push down the bottom switch and I can find it. There we go, it's underneath. Gotcha. And then we pull out the filter. So that's the used up filter, and I need to take the caps off the new one to make sure that they go in the right places. That's caps off. Okay, so I'm going to have to dig around the back here, so like I say, hopefully the back camera will catch this. Otherwise you're just going to see the back of my head as I put this in place. There we go.
Alright, so that was easy. That's the whole filter change done. All we've got to do now is run the disinfection on the machine, and the whole job's done. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed it or found it interesting, I'd appreciate it if you could hit like. If you want to know more about what it's like living with end-stage renal failure, then go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.